G'day, it's Heath here from pickinglessons.com. Arpeggios on the guitar. We're going to take a look at 1 octave arpeggios that we can play anywhere on the neck. That might be open position, that might be up the neck somewhere. We can play it on any combination of strings. So once you learn how to play these patterns, we'll package them together and you'll be able to play any minor and major arpeggio plus their extensions, a minor 7, major 7 and a dominant 7th as well, anywhere on the neck. If you head to pickinglessons.com, you're going to be able to get yourself the chart that we're working from, which has that little introduction example that you just heard there at the start of this video, plus the chart that we're going to use to learn our arpeggio shapes, just as a reminder as you go along. In a moment, here in this lesson, we're going to take a look at the first 2 shapes. So we're going to have a look at the major arpeggio and the minor arpeggio, 2 alternative versions for each actually. So we'll have a look at 4 different ways of playing these arpeggios. And if you head to pickinglessons.com, we will have a look at the rest of the shapes. So that's the major 7, the minor 7th, the dominant 7th. We'll look at how we can move these 1 octave shapes around and keep repeating them anywhere on the neck so you can play them over any chord for any key, any chord progression you might be faced with. All right, so just before we get into it, if you're wondering what an arpeggio is, it's a broken chord. So essentially, if you think of, say, a G chord, this is a G arpeggio. It's when you play your notes singly, but what we're going to do is look at how we can move those around. For example, there's a G. Here's an A minor. Here's a B flat major. Here's a C minor. So we're going to move these around. We're going to learn these shapes and you're able to move them anywhere you like. That includes on the top strings as well. We do need to know a little bit about the notes on our fretboard. So at pickinglessons.com, there's a great lesson if you're not too sure of the notes. Fretboard freedom, there's a couple of lessons there where we start to learn the notes on string 5 and 6. And then we talk about how we can use octaves to move those around. So check out at pickinglessons.com, the fretboard freedom lessons. That will get you going if you're not too sure of the notes on the fretboard. Really important that you do know those so you can start to move these arpeggios around when we're practicing them. For this example, we're going to take a look at an A major and an A minor arpeggio. So we're going to play it off this A note here at fret 5 on string 6. Now firstly, a major chord is built with the intervals, the first, which is our root note, the A, the major third, which sounds like this. You might recognize that from, say, a G chord or even in a C chord there. That's a major third interval. And we also have the perfect fifth, and the perfect fifth looks like maybe a power chord or a rock chord that you might already play. So we have a 1, the root note, major third, the perfect fifth, and there's our octave. So this A major arpeggio, there's the 1, the major third, the perfect fifth, and the octave. Now, as an alternative way to playing that, what we're going to do is move our major third onto the same string as our root note. So what we're going to do is root note, major third, perfect fifth, octave. So 2 ways of playing the same arpeggio. Why? Well, for convenience, depending on what you're doing. Maybe you're playing with that scale shape or in that position, or maybe you prefer to use this one at the time. So it depends on the combination of notes you're using around it. It's always nice to have variations. So variation number 1, use whichever fingers you like. You could go finger 2, 1, 4, 4, 2, 1, 1, 2. That works as well. Second variation, fingers 1, 3 and 1. 1, 4 and 2, doesn't really matter. So when you start to use these for improvising, like the example at the beginning of this lesson, you'll find your fingering will always change depending on combination of notes you're playing. So there's our A major arpeggio, so a 1, 3 and 5. Now that's all movable. If we wanted to move that to fret 3, that's a G. Or if we wanted to play a B flat, move to fret 6. If we wanted to play a D, or if we want to play C. So these are all movable. We can play them up the neck, we can play them down the neck, we can play them on strings 2 and 3, on 1 and 4, it doesn't matter. Completely movable. We'll talk about how to do that a little bit more later on. Let's have a look though now at the minor arpeggios, and the minor arpeggios in A minor. The difference is we have our root note, that's consistent. The perfect fifth is consistent as well. So 1 and the 5, that hasn't changed. What does change is the minor third, and that's the flat 3. There's our major third from the A major arpeggio. There's your minor third. 1, flat 3, 5. So major arpeggio, 1, 3 and 5. And the intervals 1, flat 3, 5 make the minor chord, the minor arpeggio. 1, flat 3, 5, there's your octave. An alternative way of playing that, moving that flat 3 note on the same string as our root note, 1, flat 3, 5, root note. 1, flat 3, 5, 1, flat 3, 5. Two ways of playing the same thing, again, for convenience, depending on what else you're playing. Doesn't matter, all about context. So 2 arpeggios there, all movable. This minor arpeggio is movable as well. G minor, B flat minor. Doesn't matter how we use these in terms of fingering combination or which way we go, because it's using the same notes. Remember, if the major arpeggio uses the 1, 3 and the 5. The minor arpeggio uses the 1, flat 3 and 5. The perfect fifth, the root note, and the major third or the minor third, depending on major chord, minor chord. So if you head to pickinglessons.com, what we're going to do is we're going to work on the next group of arpeggios, the major 7th, the minor 7th, and the dominant 7th. What we'll also do is look at how we can stack these arpeggios so we can repeat these over multiple octaves. We'll explore a little bit further how we can move these around as well. You'll also get the chart that we're working from, which also has that little introduction example that we heard at the beginning of this lesson. That was purely using arpeggios. There was no extra passing notes or scale notes in there. All arpeggios related to the chord progression that we're working over. So pickinglessons.com, as a member, you better jump in on the second lesson. So head on over to pickinglessons.com and I'll see you there.